Back again, because the first time I tried to record it, I tried to do it on PowerPoint and OBS wasn't picking it up. But you better go call your mom, you better go call your brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles into the room. Go get Uncle Joe and Daddy the Big Pants or something, and you better get him over here because we are doing the week 3 power rankings, people. There might be my head in the way of some of these things, but it's okay because I'm reading the slides, so I don't want to hear any complaining. If I hear you complain, I'm going to be very upset. Just kidding, do whatever you want. But week 3 power rankings for the IDA Draft League, baby. So here we go. Right off the bat, I added some pictures so that you would see what are these tiers. This is E tier, this is the Sunflora tier. You'll see some other pictures of like what's going on, of the quality of this tier, but no hate. These are not static. They can move anytime throughout the season, so we're gonna see lots of different movements throughout the season. This is just week 3 as well, so sorry, that was my ice machine. But anyway, right off the bat, bottom tier, not in any specific order. If they're in a tier, they're kind of just clumped together. Maybe towards the end of the season, we can start doing them in order, but this is just a rough estimate of where I think they are power rankings wise. So to start off, Texas Toros, they've struggled to get it going, but they've had a couple of close games, so I can definitely see them moving up in the tier list. But their team synergy is kind of lacking for me. I don't really see it. I see Gliscor and Garchomp. That seems like an easy HP Ice Tech to me. And then there's just really not obvious team synergy in general. Like they picked Mega Aggron, which I guess can be used as a pivot or something, but they really seem to have been drafting like an offensive team with like Excelgor, and then I think they have another Hazard Setter and Mimikyu. And then they got Blastoise, which is kind of like, I don't know. I don't really know how that fits into the rest of the team. Kind of seems like just a weird choice for me, so I don't really see the team synergy. So they're gonna need to make some trades if they want to move up in my power rankings, or just start winning. Like if you can start winning, prove me wrong, you know. So Zeal Zoroarks, very powerful team, very offensive team, but they've just struggled to get it going this season. So they got powerful breakers like Kyurem Black or Kyurem White, Mega Pinsir, Azumarill, so super scary. They can blow through your team. They also got great support with Scolipede, increasing speed, Quillfish to set up hazards, Cryogonal to spin away hazards without having to defog. Scolipede also sets up spikes. So like, I can see them moving forward and moving up, but like they're playing an HO kind of play style, so you gotta play your cards right if you want to win with HO. So you just gotta be in the zone, and you gotta play aggressive to get it. Missouri Yanmegas, I think they had the worst differential. By the way, if I get any of these stats wrong, I think they're all right, but if I get one of them or something wrong, forgive me. But Missouri Yanmegas, I believe, have the worst differential right now, and I feel like they just kind of lack a little bit of team synergy right now. Again, it's kind of weird team picks for me. So I see Megalodi, I see Togekiss, and then I see a lack of a steel type. So they're not really rocking that Dream Core. They got Blacephalon instead of, and that's kind of like a very offensive minded mon. And if you want to try to U-turn into that's an option, but I really just see them going for more of a bulky offense kind of play style. And I would personally suggest like maybe trading their A-tier Blacephalon into Celesteela, because I think that somehow went undrafted, which I definitely would have picked up if it like fit my team better. But I think just with a couple of trades and some momentum, they can definitely start moving up the power rankings as well. I believe we have another page of E-tier. Yes, other E-tier mons. Pichu, Lupdisc. Have nothing to do with any of these teams, but they are mons that I would rank as E-tier, so sorry about that. Mighty Monfernos, I believe he's kind of a newer player to the game, but he drafted a sick team. Like absolutely dope team synergy. You got Tapu Bulu with Reshiram to weaken Earthquakes, makes Reshiram really bulky. He's got Mega T-Tar with that. So sand damage, but kind of canceled out by the grass damage, also weakens the Earthquakes. And it's got Empoleon, same thing, weaken the Earthquake. Alolan Muck, weaken the Earthquake. So really great on getting Bulu for these. I guess a little bit of a fighting weakness you can see here, but I believe he has other things that can patch it up. definitely a player to watch throughout the season, in my opinion, because he's got a great team and because correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is a newer player. So if he can just make some progress throughout the season, I see this guy skyrocketing up the ranks. And I definitely see like throughout the season, he's just going to be winning more and more. So 0-3 right now, but I definitely see him moving up. Rogue Greninjas, he was in my last video. Just kind of a whack team synergy. He's got a win right now, so can't knock him for that, but just kind of whack team synergy. Like I said, before he had 2 defoggers, I said 1. He had Skuntank and Charizard, but Charizard is 4 times weak to rock and to stealth rocks. But he traded away Skuntank, but he ended up getting a rocker in the trade, so he has a Steelix now. So he has stealth rocks on his team, but he's still super weak to ice. His only ice resist is still non-Protean Greninja. So he's got to sort that out. He's got to make a couple of more trades, a couple of more free agent picks, and really just has to start putting more effort in. You know, like if you want to win, you got to put a lot of more effort into team building and use your weaknesses and try to spin it and assume people are going to capitalize on your weaknesses and then kind of lure them that way and beat them out that way. So we're going to move on to D tier. Woo! We got the Bastiodon and the Golbat. You know, sometimes they just work. Sometimes they're putting in work, but not always the most reliable. Sometimes Golbat is doing its job. Sometimes it's just crapping out. Sometimes Bastiodon gets a cool metal burst or something, but you know, it's all right. It's all right. Maybe Golbat would be better for C tier, but still, I put Golbat on the pitch. So, terrible Totodiles. So, seeing some improvement throughout the weeks. He's got a lot of cool strategies, running a lot of like screens and stuff with Lugia and Coco, but he's got a kind of interesting team chemistry that I think he's playing like a little bit too offensive with it, and I think he should either make some trades if he wants to play more offensive, or make some trades and try to go with a more defensive team and kind of just really imagine what he wants to do. I don't think he's using Lugia to the best of its abilities. I think he's letting it get toxic all the time. So it's lacking a straightforward game plan, in my opinion. Maybe I would say either focus more on offense or more on defense. So make some trades to become more of like a very balanced team with like Lugia, Hippowdon, Mega Sableye. Maybe keep Coco, maybe get rid of Galvantula and do something, or just like get rid of Lugia, get rid of Hippowdon and go for like just HO, you know, use Galvantula, use Coco, maybe even keep Sableye with it to keep off hazards. You know, it could be a really cool utility team. But I see improvement throughout the week, so I definitely see him moving up the ranks sometime if he can start winning. Bristol Snovers, crazy powerful Mons, very hard-hitting Mons, and it's just, it feels like offense, but I don't know what kind of offense. So, like, Crawdaunt, Victini, get out of the V-Create way, get rid of the adaptability knockoff, like get out of that way. Don't want to get hit by a Choice Band U-turn or like a Quiver Dancing Pheromosa, you'll be done for. But it's like, how are you going to get them out? How are you going to set them up? I feel like he lacks that capability currently with his team. Maybe can do some cool things. He actually has Dark Inium Z, so I think he can do Z Parting Shot on Silvally. That would be really great, but I feel like it's one of those teams where like you either bop or you get bopped, or it's just like punch, 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 and whoever happens to get one extra punch in wins 1-0. So I feel like it's either a 6-0, 6-0, or a 1-0. You know, so that, like I said, it lacks the, like I wrote here, it lacks the long game, but if he can overpower you, you're done. So interesting to see what he's going to do with any sort of offensive team. You could go 0-3 and then win out the rest of the season. So it's very hard to tell. You could definitely jump up the ranks. You know, a lot of these are based on 3 games. You could lose 3 games and then win the rest of the season. So, especially with an offensive team. So I look forward to seeing more games by the Snovers. C tier. These are Mons teams that kind of, they can kind of get it going. They can they can be putting in work sometimes, but if they kind of hit that roadblock, it's like they hit it hard. So Swallow, if he dropping boom bursts on you or a gut set, but then sometimes he just gets hit by priority and dies, or sometimes he just gets walled by like a mon or two on the team, or Fortress sets up the hazards, all of a sudden gets HP fired. So this is definitely a weird tier though. So you got the Venomville Vileplumes, and they've got this just whack stall team, which is Chansey, Toxapex, Comfy, Snorlax, Dialga, Moltres, Ferroseed, okay, like all stall, and then his Mega Metacham. I was just like, this is a very cool team, but I don't know what's going on with it. So if you're playing somebody who's experienced in the stall matchup, who's like a veteran player who's been playing a long time, has played a lot of ladder and really spent the time to learn how to beat a stall team, I think in a draft format, stall has a huge disadvantage because you know exactly what it is. So you can just bring a whole team of stall breakers because you know you're not playing any team but a stall team. And obviously it's not perfect stall, like it's not straight up stall, it's like a semi stall, but just I see him winning a lot. I put him in C tier because I see him winning a lot this season, but I don't really see him having a chance at the title, just by the nature of his team, and I just feel like there are people that will have the ability to break through that before finals, but I definitely see him making playoffs, and I definitely see him having a winning record this season. Motor City Mamoswines, very offensive team. Like I've said with the offensive teams, you whack, you get whacked. So it's hard to tell. you could end up winning the games that you need to win, and then you make it to finals, and you know that every game is a game of winning. If you win, you win. So it doesn't matter how you do it. Yveltal, Salazzle, Raikou, Keldeo, Mega Gardevoir, all hard hitting, all are kind of lacking the defensive switch-ins. Like, I don't see him, I kind of see it like the Bristol Snovers. Like, he doesn't really have great defensive switch-ins. He just sends them on out. If you can strategically switch around him and get some momentum against him, whole team falls apart. But if he can get it going against you, then you just get overpowered and you lose. So they tend to be fast games. They tend to be just like, it's like a track game. It's like when you play two football teams and they're just throwing long pass after long pass and the game's like 50-50 by the end of the game. That's what these offensive teams seem like to me when they just have these big hitters, but not like a super coherent kind of strategy. Like, it's not even like a specific kind of offense. It's not Veil offense. This is what we're gonna do. Hazard stack offense. It's like, just put some good stuff together and see if we can break through the opponent's team. And you know, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So B tier, there's another page for this, but we got your mons that are constantly putting in the work, but just have a little bit of a flaw. So like Porygon 2, Death Valley Heatrans, currently 3-0, kind of controversial putting them in B tier, but I just feel like they've gotten away with some wins, like week 1, Shell smashed with Cloyster and then won. So he does have some team synergy here and there. You got the Dream Core with Hydreigon, Heatran, Sylveon. That's a really good bulky Dream Core. And then Fire, Water, Grass with Mega Venusaur, Incineroar, Cloyster. There are some holes in that core because Cloyster and Incineroar kind of get weakened down, but it's all in all, it's a pretty solid Fire, Water, Grass core, but more, the way I see the team, it's more focused on the Dream Core setup. But they really lack an Uber on their team, so a lot of these, you're allowed one Uber if you don't remember in the league. Some of these teams lack an Uber, and I honestly don't think it's a good idea to lack an Uber because Ubers are Uber for a reason. But like, obviously you can play without it. But one of the biggest problems I see with this team is that it's kind of overly passive, I want to say. So it's got so many pivots. It's got really good bulky pivots to switch in. You switch in for a good type matchup, but if your opponent can do the same to you, I feel like he lacks the offensive capabilities in his team to break through that, and lacks the stall capabilities to outstall the opponent. So I feel like the issue with his team is that it gets outstalled by bulkier teams, but can get out offense by offense teams. And that's kind of what you get with these balance kind of BO teams. So if he shell smashes with Cloyster, he can get it going. If he can kind of chip away at your team and then take you down with like maybe a Scarf Hydreigon or something, then he can get it going. I definitely think it's a team to watch this season because I can see it going either way. But I just feel like the team's a little bit passive. Like it's a little bit too good for pivoting, but once you pivot in, I feel like it kind of doesn't get quite the firepower out that I would need to see it ranked to like S tier or A tier right now. Other B tiers, Sin City Giratinas. So this is like one of the whack teams out, like the Venomville Vileplumes with their whack stall with Medicham. This is another just whack team out here. It's like Aurora Veil Trick Room with like Alolan Ninetales, Mega Mawile Salamence. So like very like powerful offense. And if it starts going, it'll hit you'll get run over. Nilecoon offensive core, Nihilego Suicune, really good offensive core that people have tried in OU in the past. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it, like in a draft format, it's really good. It's really, really good in draft format. In OU can sometimes fall apart against OU teams, but you're not playing OU teams right now. You're playing a full team of draft mons. So Calm Mind with Suicune, break some of the threats to Suicune with Nihilego, put up the Toxic Spikes, put up the Sludge Waves, and maybe if you can lure something with the Thunder, then you can get it going. And he's got lots of support options as well with the Uxie and Alolan Persian and Arcanine and Hitmontop. So very interesting team, and again, offensive, fun to watch the games of. If he can get it going, it's going. If he can't, it can't. I don't know how many times I've said that, but you know, it's an interesting team to watch. So Jersey Dusknoirs, again, lacks an Uber and has a lot of extra points. They have like, so you start with like 400 draft points, they have like 100 left. But somehow you see their team and they're still very hard to build for. They got like this Firewater Grass core with Rotom Heat, Seismitoad, and Tangela, and you're like, these are all kind of lower tier value pick mons, but it's hard to break through, you know? If you kind of chip it down, Seismitoad and Rotom Heat both don't have that great of recovery, so you can kind of do that, but like Tangela, it's just fat. Like it can't do too much back to you, but it's kind of fat and kind of annoying. And then they also have some really solid offensive mons with my missed column there, very sorry. Kyurem Black, Gengar, Swellow, and Klinklang. Again, some lower tier Swellow and Klinklang. Low tier mons that are very, very scary offensively. You don't know, you don't really realize how hard they are to build against until you start running calcs with a Choice Spec Swellow. And then you're like, holy crap, this blows through my whole team. So very scary mon, very scary team. I would say this is one of my top 3 teams to watch. I put like team to watch on 3 of these. So Jersey Dusknoirs is one of my top 3 teams to watch. I think they have a shot to do really, really well this season. And very interesting team. And they can also make trades throughout the season with lots of extra points. A tier, we got your Suicunes, we got your Snorlaxes. They're constantly putting in the work, and they've been good throughout the generations. Doesn't matter what tier, even if they drop in tiers, you can use them in higher tiers, and it's like, okay, well, freak, this is still a beast. So you got the Houston Heracross. I always love watching First Nut play because, sorry, that's his name. He's got like a toolbox offense kind of team. I had to list a lot of the mons on his team because when I try to list some of the mons, they have a lot more mons than I list, but I try to list the things that I see are the core of their team. They're the things that I think they're going to bring a lot of the weeks, and I think they're the mons that define the team the most. I listed so many because he seems to always run this kind of toolbox offense with some bulky backbone from like lower tier mons. But things that, even though they're defensive kind of pivots, they aren't slouches on offense. But like, I see them come in, set up some status, set up some rocks, do something, get out to one of the utility mons. And the thing that's scary about his team is that he's got so many different types of offensive coverage that no matter who you have on your team, he's just got like the offensive coverage for it. So how are you going to have the defensive mons to take care of Talonflame, Zygarde, Heracross, Deoxys, Bisharp, and Mega Ampharos? Huge coverage there. Like, just absolutely extraordinary. So it's tough to build against, but if you can kind of break apart the toolbox, if you can defend against what you're weakest to and chip away at him, you can kind of take down his team over time. But very fun to watch. 3-0 right now. Good player. So I see him doing really well this season, no doubt about it. Belper Beedrills, another team really hard to build against because he's got this broken rain team that I have no idea how anybody let this guy draft this. So he's got like Raincore, Kyogre, Tornadus Eye, and Ferrothorn, not to mention Mega Metagross and Zygarde, but I put them onto a different line because they're like just broken offensive mons. So I don't know how he trapped this. So he's got some other niche offensive mons like Slurpuff and Hitmonlee to break through more unprepared teams, but you know, it's solid rain. He had a loss to me because he brought the wrong team, and I just happened to bring something that was good against the way I expected him to play against me, and I put him at a big disadvantage from the first turn, and just like kind of, so that's where his loss came from. But I still put him at A tier because I see him doing really well this season, especially with a team like that. I don't know how you don't do well. Now you got your S tier. These are the mons that are always putting in the most work. You got your Clefables, you got your Volcaronas. If you're not prepared for them, Volcarona will pile drive you, and Clef, even if he doesn't pile drive you, Clef's always putting in overtime. Clef's like got an 8-hour shift, but he's clocking out 16 hours after the shift starts because he's always putting in overtime. So, quote from myself: never bet against yourself, boys. I say it every week in my predictions. I always predict myself to win because we don't bet against ourselves. I got a dope Dream Core. I've already talked about my team. I'm not going to talk about myself, but I've got my highest differential. Just kidding. I'm not that cocky about my team. I could very easily lose like the rest of the season, but I just found it hard to justify putting myself lower just because I have like 6-0, 5-0, 6-0 win. And then Brooklyn Diggersby, really cool team. Nobody else kind of ran this team that this season that I normally feel like people gravitate towards this because it's a very consistent, very solid, and very hard to play against play style. He's got this Volt Turn Hazard Stack offense, so he puts up the hazard and then just starts Volt Turn, U-turn, Volt Turn, U-turn. So he's constantly shuffling so that you have to switch, and he's got the hazards in there, so it just screws your day up. And then he's got big power to break through your walls. And then he's got just a couple of defensive mons that are lower tier, but like, you know, they're always putting in the work. They're the low tier, solid defensive mons. Gourgeist, Miltank, you get up the rocks, you're surprised at how bulky Gourgeist is, even though he's like super low. He's also got a really strong track record as a player, but he's got Spikes, Stealth Rock, and Sticky Web. He's got Intimidators, U-turn, freaking Mewtwo. It's just a difficult style to play against, and I just expect him, I see him definitely as a finalist contender. So definitely watch out. He could be my pick to win the league. So hope you all have a freaking wonderful day. I'm sorry if you don't agree with my picks, but definitely make your own power rankings. You see these teams out here? Check them out. Check out my content from week to week. Hope you all have a beautiful spanking day. Peace.